He's probably trying to log back in, but okay. Grammar. Let's just dive right into it, right? We're on page 19. So go ahead and turn to page 19. I see Matt coming back in. Earlier today, I was having internet issues. Oh, now he's trying to come back in again. So I don't know what's going on with the internet today, but see if you can get in this time. Looks like you're changing locations in the house. That's probably a good idea. All right, we are on page 19. And we're talking about
book.
What was that? You can't find your book, Chase.
It's not here. Could be maybe inside. I have my big, this little one. Maybe it's inside here. Oh, it is inside here.
Oh, good. Okay, good. I'm
Um,
glad you found it. Okay, you got a pencil too?
I should have a pencil and pencil thing. I have a pencil.
Okay, good. Page 19, we're talking about the that clause, and it is a clause. And I remember telling you guys before, but I'll remind you again that there's a difference between clauses and phrases. So clauses have subject and verbs. Okay, so if you have a because clause, that clause, who, which clause, those all have subject and verbs. But if you have a phrase, they do not have verbs. And a phrase is like a prepositional phrase. That's an example of one that we'll be working on in this book. But so phrases and no verb, clauses do have a verb. That clause is pretty easy to identify because it starts with the word that. So it's like a duh, that's the that clause, right? You see the word that. And it contains a subject and verb. It is a dependent clause, which means it can be added to a sentence that is already complete. It must be added to a sentence that's already complete. So you're going to mark it with parentheses like this. And then right above, this sounds weird, but right above the word that, you're going to write that. And basically what you're doing is labeling it a that clause. I know it sounds redundant, but that's how you label that. It's funny when you're talking about a word like that, you suddenly hear yourself saying it like 100 times. So then you're going to label the subject and verbs within the that clause. So here's the example. Robin knew that he could win the contest. That he could win the contest is the phrase. I'm sorry, it's the clause, not the phrase. It's the clause. And the subject is he, and then the verbs are could win. So that's how you mark it in this book. And then we're talking about the comma rules. Comma is used to separate items in a sentence because that clauses are essential to the sentence. Commas are not used with that clauses. So the cool thing is you don't even have to worry about commas when you use the word that. You do not need a comma. Here we're talking about homophones. You've probably heard that word before. Homophones are words that sound like another word, but are spelled differently and have a different meaning. Like in these three words here, two. They sound the same, exactly. They're spelled differently and each one has a different meaning. So to is a preposition or part of an infinitive. To Nottingham is a preposition, but to travel, when you have it next to a verb, that becomes an infinitive. The word TWO is a number, obviously. Two arrows means literally two. And then TOO is an adverb meaning also, or to an excessive degree, like he traveled to, or too excited, right? Place a line through the incorrect homophone and write the correct word above it. So here we have Robin was headed to Nottingham to. He brought his 2 straight arrows. So obviously the original 2's were in the wrong place. So what you do is draw 1 line through the word that's wrong, the homophone that's wrong, and then you write the correct one on top of it. That's how you fix it in this book. Any questions about this page right here? If not, just shake your head no. Okay, and Chase, you're still there? We lost Chase. Where'd you go, Chase? Okay. Hopefully he'll be back in a minute. But on the back here, it says, think about it. This is page 20. Many words can be used as different parts of speech. However, a word can perform only one part of speech at a time. For example, light can be a noun, an adjective, or a verb. The same word, light, L-I-G-H-T. So I'm on page 20, Chase. So here is an example of how it's used as a noun. The light hurt my eyes. By the way, it has the article the in front of it, and that's an indication that it's a noun, because anytime you see that an article, you know that a noun is coming. And there it is. The light hurt my eyes. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So they're talking about the light as a thing. And then as an adjective, the light rain was falling. So here we have rain is the actual noun, and then light rain is an adjective telling what kind of rain it is. It's not a heavy rain or pouring rain or something like that. It's a light rain, like sprinkling, right? Light rain. So it describes the noun. Here we have it used as a verb. So the lamps light the room. Okay, the noun is lamps, and the verb that the lamps is doing is lighting up the room. Okay, so the subject is actually lamps, and then the verb is light. Same word, light, used in 3 different ways. But remember, it says it can only function as one way in the sentence. So you have to pay attention to how it's used in the sentence in order to know how to label it. Any questions about this page? No questions yet. Good. All right. So let's have Chase read the sentences, please.
Then Robin grew angry. No young man likes other men to taunt him. What? About his prized possessions?
Okay, good. That was good. And you're right. Obviously, that's the wrong 2. So why don't we just start by fixing that? What should it be, Chase? How should we spell 2 there?
Just take out one O, T-O.
Just T-O, to taunt him. Good. So we already fixed that. And then taunt is our vocabulary. Let's see, Matt, do you know what taunt means? You know what that word taunt is?
Yes.
To make fun of.
Yes, to make fun of or tease. Right. Good. So check vocabulary. We don't have any articles today. We've got 4 nouns. So Alex, help us find the 4 nouns in this on this page.
Grew.
Okay, so grew is actually a verb. Remember, verbs are action, and nouns are person, place, or thing. So look for person, place, or thing here.
Robin.
There you go. That's 1.
Prize.
Yes.
Men.
Man.
And I don't know.
Okay.
Man.
Oh, you said men. Yeah. Men and man. And you know what? I said yes to prize, but I messed up. It's actually in this sentence. Here's an example of a homophone, kind of. Well, it's the same word, actually. Prize is not a homophone, but because it's saying prize possessions, this word prize actually becomes an adjective because it's describing the possessions. So in this sentence, possession is the noun, prize is the adjective. But you already found all 4, so we're good with nouns. How about Matt? What about the pronoun? Where's the pronoun at?
What? Where's the pronoun?
The pronoun is like
No, him.
Yeah, that's it. Takes the place of a noun, right? So instead of saying Robin again, you can use him in place of Robin. That's it, just that one pronoun. 6 adjectives. So Chase, we already have 1, so you only have 5 more.
Well, um, his,
Uh, yes, I'm sorry. I had to look for a second. Because it's telling whose possessions. Yes, his prized possessions. Very good, Chase. That's 2.
young,
Yes.
hmm, other,
Yes. Good. One more.
well, one more,
Actually, 2 more.
2 more,
How would you describe?
about,
I was going to say, look at the first sentence. How would you describe Robin?
angry,
Yes, angry. And then the last adjective is actually the word no. And that was kind of tricky because
no.
no, young man. Because if you ask yourself, remember the test words to ask, which one?
What is the context of this sentence? I'm just finding it very confusing.
Well, remember, each one of these pages in this book is part of a story. So it's building off of what happened right before this from your homework this week. So if you look back,
Where's the whole story? Isn't it like at the end there's a whole story of it?
yeah, at the end of the book is the whole story, but we try to wait and not do any spoilers. So don't tell us what the whole story is about. But each page, each day you work on this, you're getting another sentence or 2 of the story. So you're right. This alone does not have good context with it, but it's talking about this battle that they're getting ready, right? Or as a contest actually, and they're trying to shoot the bow and arrow at a target, right? Robin met 15 foresters who worked for the king. They were sitting beneath a huge oak and were feasting sociably. A man who had a scar on his face confronted Robin. He called Robin's bows and arrows cheap and shoddy. So there's the insult, right? That's the taunt. And that leads up to this sentence. Then Robin grew angry. No young man likes other men to taunt him about his prized possessions. Now, does that make better sense to you, Chase?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Because the sentence before was from your homework and he totally made fun of his bow and arrow. So
That makes sense.
good. I'm glad. That's good. So you got your adjectives. How about, let's go back to Alex on this one. How about the prepositional phrase? Remember, you can look back on the list of prepositions if that helps you. But the phrase starts with a preposition and then it ends on a noun or a pronoun usually. And we have a little post-it here with the word prepositions. So yeah, look back on that page to see if you see any of those words. And another clue is it's not going to have a label on it. So it's one of the words that does not have a label on it yet. Two. Okay. Hold on. 2 is a preposition. But you know what? In this instance right here, remember we talked about, for just briefly, we talked about infinitives. When you have a verb next to it, or to taunt is an action here. So it's actually not this one. There's a different one. This is called an infinitive. So it's not that one.
Likes.
That actually is a verb, and grew is a verb. And then is not a preposition. So that leaves about. So check on your preposition list and see if you see the word about. You see it there? Okay. So about is the preposition, and it ends on a noun. So what is the whole phrase?
About his prized possessions.
Yes. So underline that part of the sentence. Good. About his prized possessions. Now, earlier we were talking about that word taunt. And I want to explain that a little bit better because to is on the list of prepositional phrases. To is an infinitive here because the phrase to taunt does not allow the pattern for preposition plus noun. When to is followed by a verb, it's called an infinitive. So do not mark infinitives as prepositional phrases, and do not mark them as noun or as verbs either, because to taunt is completely different than a prepositional phrase, and it's completely different than a verb, even though it is an action. I know that's confusing, but when you see to next to it like that, it's a different classification. So this is called an infinitive. So there are some verbs in here, though. There's 1, 2 verbs. So Matt, where are the 2 verbs? It's not taunt, I'll tell you that.
Likes and grew.
Good. Likes and grew. And so now that we know the verbs, in this first sentence, what's the subject, Matt, that goes with grew? Who grew?
Robin.
Good. So we're going to put an S on top of that noun to label it as a subject. The next sentence, who likes other men to taunt him? Who are they talking about? Who likes other men to taunt him? One of the
Anyone?
words, there you go, man. Yep. So the subject is Robin here, and then he's talking about the young man who's taunted him here. So that becomes the subject. Good. All right, capitals. Chase, what words need a capital?
What other words need a capital? Well, then needs a capital.
Okay, what else?
No needs a capital.
Yes.
Robin needs to be capitalized.
That's it, those 3. So Alex, what about the end mark here?
The period at the end of possessions.
Good, yes. And then we already fixed the homophone, which was 2. So there you go. That is complete. I'm going to have you write this later after class, but you're just going to copy it, making those changes, like capital letters and changing that homophone there down below. And then your pages for homework are going to be page 22 through 24. So you guys did awesome. Do you have any questions about grammar or any of the homework pages? Nope. Okay, good. All right, let's move on to the binder. Okay. Go ahead and get out what you've been working on, which is the disgusting or delicacy keyword outline. Get out everything you have to do with disgusting or delicacy. Let's see, I got to get mine out here too. All right, this is where we left off. I just had to make sure I get the right one here. Hold on a second. Get my stuff together here. Got it. Okay. This was the one we were working on last week. And I know you guys finished it for your homework. So your homework was to, I think you guys practiced retelling the story too, right? Or you just basically finished the keyword outline, right? I think that's what your homework was, to just finish the keyword outline. Give me a thumbs up if you got yours finished. Good. How about you, Chase? Did you finish your keyword outline?
I'm pretty sure I'm pulling it up on Google Drive.
Okay. All right. So your outline should be complete. I know mine's not because this is where we left off last week, but there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about because I know Chase has done this class before on a different level. And so he knows this process. So you look for your outline, Chase. I'm going to explain to Alex and Matt how we use the outline now to actually write the paragraph in our own words. Rather than just retelling it, we're actually going to move into writing it. So I want you to look at the page, this one, 25. This is called a checklist. So let's look at this really quick on page 25. I'm going to go over this with you, and then we're going to practice doing it, and then I'll tell you what you're going to work on for homework this week. Every week from now on till the end of time, you're going to have a checklist. This is probably, I would have to say, this is the most important part of this whole process that I'm teaching you with writing. So these checklists are huge. I just want you to know they're super important, so don't lose these. And you're going to notice you're going to have one of these for every single story or article that we read. There is now a checklist. So obviously, this is where you put your name, where it says name. And then we're going to go through this list. Notice there's little boxes next to everything because you get to literally put a check mark in there when you finish these things on this list. It starts out talking about structure. So here you have name and date in upper left-hand corner. Good news is I've already told you every time you get out a clean piece of paper, you put your name and date on the left-hand corner. So you got that down pretty good. Secondly, it says here, composition double spaced. Now I have to ask, I know Chase prefers typing, but Alex and Matt, do you prefer handwriting or typing your papers when you write?
We could do both. Last time I did one, I typed.
Okay. How about you, Alex? Same?
Yeah, same.
Okay, so have you guys used Google Docs before for your...
Yeah.
Good,
That's what we
perfect.
used last time.
You did. Okay, I haven't had a chance to check it yet, but you mean last time as far as the homework for me or a different class?
No, the last time we did
For the ice cream outline.
Oh, the ice cream one. That's right.
ice
Okay.
cream paragraph.
Yeah.
The paragraph. Okay, good. I'm glad because all three of you are going to be typing, and the way I like that because you can fix things so much easier than if you're handwriting. So typing is actually, I prefer that as well. And with Google Docs, I can actually highlight something and put a comment right there in your paper. And then when you get it back, I'll show you how to find all that when you get it back. But it's kind of cool because we can communicate through your paper too. So anyway, double spaced, I will show you how to click that unless you already know. Do you know how to change it to double space on Google Docs?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You guys are awesome. And then here, the next check, it says title centered and repeats 1 to 3 keywords from the final sentence. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But just know whenever you're writing a story or an article or a report or an essay or a research paper, because we're going to get into all of those in this class, the very, 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 very last sentence of whatever it is you're writing about has to have at least one word in it that you use for the title. Because even though like this title for this week is disgusting or a delicacy, you're going to change that title. It can't be the same because you want to get creative. Chase is really good at coming up with cool titles. And he already knows the rule about following that, the last sentence having 1 to 3 keywords. Now, here's the thing. You can pick one word from your last sentence and then add a couple of extra words in the title. Those words don't have to be in the last sentence, but it has to have at least one word from the last sentence. And here's why. I always think of music, okay? And when we listen to music, a lot of times music starts with a certain sound, like a song, okay? Think of a song that you might know. And it might start with a guitar sound or some instrument sound or a note or a beat, right? And then the song takes you through highs and lows and usually, I mean, typically, and And then there's a little bridge in the middle, they call it, where it kind of changes a little bit. And then toward the end of the song, you'll notice a lot of times, almost every time, that same sound or the same words or something the same comes back in at the end of the song. Have you guys noticed that before about songs? If you haven't noticed it before, you should pay attention next time you listen to a song, because literally something magical happens in your brain when you hear a sound or hear a phrase or something like that at the beginning of a song, and then you hear it again at the end. Your brain resolves it. It's like, it's like your brain captures that, if I can say it that way. And when that happens, it feels complete. Like the same note, the ending note, it's like, it feels like it's complete. And that's the best way I can explain it with this. If you have a title that has, like, even if it's just one word from the last sentence, when you get to the last sentence, you're like, okay, I get it. Your brain is like, it's complete now. It's a complete thought. Okay. So that's why it's important. And that rule will stay there. You'll see it in every checklist that we do. So once you do that, once you find a new title, use 1 to 3 keywords, you can put a check mark there. Now, this next one here, checklist on top, final draft, rough draft, keyword outline, that you can ignore. You can just automatically put a check mark there, because that is for if you are turning it into me in person. But you guys are taking my online classes. This one does not apply to you. So you don't have to worry about that box. You can either check it, draw a line through it, whatever. But don't worry about that one. Now we move down to style. And this style, these are the dress up words. And we're going to talk about more about that in a minute, but you'll see here, ly adverb. Did we talk about those last week? I can't remember. I don't know if we did. I don't think we did. Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to that, but know that this little paragraph symbol right here, it says it's like a backwards P looking thing and then a 1. That just means one paragraph, because this assignment is only one paragraph, but you have to have underline one of each. So you have to have one ly adverb that you underline. You can have more than one ly adverb if you like those, because they add style to your writing, but you really only have to underline one of them. Okay, we'll come back to that. And then, of course, at the bottom, mechanics. These are just like making sure to capitalize, making sure your end marks are there. When you're typing, it kind of helps, because some of that stuff they automatically fix for you. Make sure your sentences are complete. This is a big one. Because, and Chase, you're good at this now, but in the beginning, it was difficult because he forgot to read it to himself or read it to someone. And now that you're doing that, your stuff makes better sense. You're fixing things better. And it's funny how our brains are so smart that when we read silently in our head, did you know that your brain can fix a mistake without you even knowing it? Your brain, like, let's say you forget the word the, but your brain puts it in there for you, even though it's not really there. If you're reading inside your head, it's true. That's why even when I do emails, I'm always reading them out loud, because when I read them out loud, or even text messages, I'll read them out loud or whisper them to myself, because that way it brings to our attention if we're missing anything. Okay, so it's really important to read it out loud. If you're reading it to your stuffed animal, to the mirror, to your cat, to the wall. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you're using your voice. It can be a whisper, but hearing it and saying it will help you catch those little mistakes. Okay, so get into that habit. And then spelling, to correct your spelling. The nice thing about using Google Docs is it'll give you a little squiggly line. It's usually red if it's spelled wrong. You guys probably have seen that before. And what you can do is right click on it or highlight it, and usually it'll tell you a suggestion on how to spell it. But don't just ignore those little squiggly red lines, okay? Those are telling you something's wrong with the word. Or it might be a squiggly blue line or a squiggly green line. That usually means grammar, like grammatically it's incorrect. So pay attention to those cues that Google Docs gives you, okay? And of course, when you're all done, you've read it to yourself, you are happy with it, then have your parent read it. Okay. Because you always want that second set of eyes. Remember, we talked about how they're your editors that check your work. I think we talked about that last week. Hold on. Let me see if we did. Did we? Oh, no, just kidding. Editors is coming up next week. So I'll talk about that again. All right. So that's the checklist. Super important. The next piece of paper I want to go over with you is yellow. And it's this one, page 21. So go ahead and get out this page 21. Should be in your stack of stuff that you put in the front of your binders. Here is how we're going to slowly fill in this list. It starts with dress ups right here. So next to number 1, I want you to put a little dash like that, ly adverb. So go ahead and write in ly adverb there. Then we're going to talk about what that is in a minute, because we're going to look at our keyword outline next. But remember, ly adverbs, we've done them in grammar a little bit, where you look for a verb, okay, a good solid action verb, like, let's think of a good one. It's funny because the first word that comes to mind is chased, and we have chase in the class. And I don't know why that, I guess because I see your name there and it kind of triggered my thought, but I was thinking how a dog chases after a cat. So chased. You can put the word chased with an ed is actually a verb. It's an action word. You can put an ly adverb, and here's the clue. It adds to the verb. So you can say somethingly with an ly, like frantically. How about that? The dog frantically chased after the cat. The dog longingly chased after the cat. The dog hungrily chased after the cat, right? Those ly words give the reader more of an image of what's happening in the sentence, but the way to know where to put those is to look for a verb. So you're looking for an action word, and then that's when you add an ly word with it to just make it have more style. These are stylistic techniques, and this is the first one, ly adverbs. Those are really good to use. Now, like I said, you have to have at least one in your paragraph, but you can put more than one, but you only need to underline one of them, but you can use more than one if you want to. All right, we talked about that. Let's see. I'm going to show you something here. Well, let me think about that, because all of you guys are typing. So I was going to show you about handwriting it. So I don't think I need to talk to you about that, actually, because you're typing. So scratch that thought. Let's go back to this keyword outline, and I want you to turn it over to the back side of it. This is the back of the keyword outline. So turn your page on the back. And then I want you to go ahead and write up here, ly adverbs, because I'm going to give you, we're going to come up with a little list together of some ideas on what you can use in this particular story that might help you when you come to write the paragraph. Remember, this is talking about food, disgusting or delicacy. We talked about how, you know, normally we eat beef and cheese and stuff like that. And then it's talking about in different countries, how they like to eat different types of food. But let's think back at the beginning of the story, how it talks about what foods are common. So something like chicken is somethingly common. Well, let me back up. Let me think of a different way to say it. People somethingly eat chicken in America. We can say commonly, right? That might be a good word. People commonly, so let's just put commonly eat chicken in America. People usually, go ahead and make this list, okay? Eat chicken. But now if you're thinking about if you want to go to the mall and get a quick meal, you could say people quickly go to a restaurant to eat these foods. Quickly might be a good word to use somewhere in this story. Quickly. Now think for a second about the fried tarantula. Let's go right to that. What's an ly word we could say about that? People somethingly eat tarantula in Cambodia. What's an ly word we could use there? Go ahead, Alex.
Surprisingly.
Good. I like that. Surprisingly. Surprisingly eat tarantula. That's a perfect one. What else? And you guys can just stay unmuted and just tell me as you think of them. What's another good word about eating tarantula? Somethingly eating tarantulas. Surprisingly. What about rarely? Chase, are you thinking of one?
Ly adverb, so.
We're talking about specifically eating tarantula or something like that if it's disgusting. Well, how about disgustingly? Disgustingly. How about strangely?
Hesitantly or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Hesitantly. I like that. That's how I would eat it, hesitantly, for sure. Oddly.
Who knows, it tastes bad. It could taste like it. Someone told me it tastes like crab. I don't know who.
Yeah, I kind of remember somebody talking about that too, but what about if you eat, well, one ly word could be slowly. You slowly eat it because you're like, I don't know, am I gonna be able to swallow this?
Quickly and slowly kind of contradict themselves.
Yeah, so it depends on how you want to use it in the sentence, but either one would work. Oh, here's one. Unwillingly. Unwillingly. So, and remember at the end of this paragraph, it talks about, so the next time you are served eggplant or sashimi, it's nothing compared, like don't complain, it's nothing compared to fried dung beetle. So how would you eat something like eggplant knowing that there's other people that are eating disgusting things out there, right?
Well, I mean, you don't know if it's disgusting.
That's true. We're just guessing that it is. That's true,
Like,
Chase.
it's just more different than like foods that are eaten in the
We
here.
think it's discussing just how it sounds, but you're right. It might not be that bad. But what if we suddenly, we're gladly going to eat eggplant. I would rather eat eggplant over dung beetle that eats poop. Right?
I don't know. Eggplant sounds pretty boring.
Or gratefully. All right. Well, we got a pretty good size list. So the reason why we're doing this on the back of your keyword outline is so that you can choose one or more of these to add to your paragraph and make sure you only underline one, but you're going to use these words as you want to. You don't have to use them in every sentence. But here's a handy dandy list for you. Also, you can always look up ly adverbs to describe something gross. You can look that up if your parents are okay with you using Google to look up words, but make sure you check with your parents before you just do that, okay? Now, since you guys are all typing, let me see what time we got here. I don't need to show you about handwriting it. Let's talk about it though, because I know you're working on a device. I know Chase can type at the same time on your device, but I don't know if Alex and Matt can do that. Do you have Are you using the device right now that you normally type on?
No. We're not allowed to right now.
Okay. So don't worry about that. You can do it later after class. But let's look at your keyword outline here. And I'm just going to model for you. And I want you to handwrite this part out. It'll be easier for you later when you actually do type it. So, okay, here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and get out a clean piece of paper. Let's start with that. Clean piece of lined paper. Go ahead and put your name up here. Today's date is October 3rd, 2023. If you like writing the date with numbers, you can do that. Okay, skip a line. And I know you guys are going to type this later, but that's okay. I want you to practice using this too. So you're going to skip a line here and then draw a line for a space for a title. And then we're going to skip a line and start writing the sentences. So looking at your keyword outline, now Roman numeral 1 says common, chicken, and beef. So I'll start with Alex. Using those key words, can you think of a complete sentence that we could start off our paragraph with?
What was that again?
Okay, we're looking at Roman numeral 1, common, chicken, beef. Can you think of a complete sentence using those key words that we can write in our paragraph? Just think of one and say the sentence. Do you know what I mean, Alex?
1 second, I'm trying to think.
Oh, okay.
The most common foods are chicken and beef.
Okay, good. And the most common foods probably here in America, right? So maybe we could say the most common foods in America are chicken and beef, because we're going to compare America to other countries. So I kind of think that's important to mention that. But is that okay with you, Alex, if we include that in America?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Okay, good. So what I want you to do is skip a line, and then we're going to indent here, like we're starting a new paragraph. And you can start by putting the most common foods in America. Go ahead and skip a line. We're double spacing. So the most common foods in America, skip that line, is, or are actually, chicken and beef, period. Don't forget to skip that line. And I know you guys are going to be typing this and you'll make it double spaced on your document, but this is good practice for you too for handwriting, okay? So the most common foods in America are chicken and beef. How about Chase? How about that next one? Regular number 1 right here. It says raw fish, malls, airports, USA.
Raw fish and malls are in airports, malls, and everywhere in the United States. I don't know, something along the lines of that.
Okay, so try to do it again. Make it a complete sentence.
Raw fish is in malls, airports in the United States.
Raw fish is in malls and airports in the United States. Okay, let's put that after the period. Raw fish. Well, when you say raw fish is in malls, I wonder if we should say like can be found. So you're not thinking there's like fish flopping around on the ground. Like the fish is found in restaurants, right? Maybe we should clarify that. Raw fish can be found in restaurants in malls and airports in the United States. How about that? Okay.
Yeah.
Raw fish can be, make sure you skip a line, found in malls and airports in the United States. Period. See how I'm skipping lines? So make sure as you're writing this, you're leaving a line blank as you go. Is Matt there? Is he just out of the camera? Or did he go somewhere?
Bathroom.
Oh, okay. So I'll come back to him. So that's a good start. Let's do one more for now. Alex, you're looking at regular number 2 here where we have countries, unusual, prepared, and I think we had a little fish, or this is a chicken representing food, I think. So how could we use those words in a complete sentence, Alex?
Chicken is unusually prepared in other countries.
If I remember correctly, we drew a piece of chicken, but it's supposed to represent food, right? Because I think this is when it starts talking about weird things to eat, like scorpions and tarantulas and seahorses and all that weird stuff. So instead of saying chicken, use the word food. So try that again. Countries, unusual, prepared, food.
Food is prepared unusually in other countries.
Food is prepared unusually. Okay. That kind of implies that it's unusual because of how they prepare it, but it's actually the type of food. Let's look back at the original. If you ever get stuck on one, you can always peek at the original. Let's see, where's it at? What did it say there? In some countries, however, you may find even more unusual items prepared as food. Oh, that's how it's worded. Prepared as food. So try that one more time now that we know what the original meaning is.
Countries prepare unusual food.
Close. I think you're close. I think maybe we start by saying in other countries, unusual things or unusual plates, like unusual menu items are prepared as food, or unusual things, you could say that, or items. In other countries, unusual items are prepared as food. I think that would probably fit the context a little bit better. That was a tricky one though, so I don't blame you for that. But let's do that. In other countries, unusual items are prepared as food, period. Now, I know you guys are going to type this, but I do want you to handwrite this part. We're going to stop there. But if you haven't finished handwriting that, I want you to handwrite that on a lined piece of paper, because now I'm going to show you an example of how you can find a place for a good ly word. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you have those sentences written down. Okay. And Matt, do you have them written down yet?
Not.
Go ahead and write it down. I know you're going to type it later, but I want you to write this for now for class, okay? When you're looking for a spot for an ly adverb, and I know when you're typing, you're going to be able to just type it in the space that you want, but I want to just give you an example of how to find a spot for it. You're going to look for those verbs. So when I look through here, I see the most common foods in America are chicken and beef. So that word are is actually the verb in that sentence. Raw fish can be found. So can be found is the verb. Those are the verbs here, found especially. In malls and airports in the United States. In other countries, unusual items are prepared. So prepared is the verb here. So we're looking for verbs, okay? I'm thinking this last one here, prepared, is a good one. Can you see it? I'm going to ask Chase, what LY word from our list here on the back of the keyword outline, which one of these would fit right there next to prepared? In other countries, unusual items are blank, somethingly prepared as food.
Are strangely prepared.
I agree with that. So if you were handwriting, which I know later you're going to type this symbol right here, it looks like a V. It's actually called a carrot, not a carrot you eat, but a CAROT, not RROT. It's a symbol, meaning you're going to add something here. And I do like that word strangely. I think that fits nicely there. So now it says, in other countries, unusual items are strangely prepared as food. And you can underline that word strangely. Now I'm going to see if you only have to have one. We already underlined one. So now any of the other ly adverbs are just like bonus words in the paragraph. But you can always add more than one. What's another one, Matt, that we could use? Can be found. So raw fish can be somethingly found in malls and airports in the United States. Raw fish can be somethingly found in malls and airports in the United States. Which one of these words would fit there?
I wouldn't put anyone right there.
Do you see a different spot you would put one? You could put it at the beginning of the sentence. Somethingly, raw fish can be found in malls and airports in the United States. You can start the sentence with
Rarely.
okay. Well, we're talking about in the United States. So actually raw fish is sushi. Do you know that?
Oh,
So it's more like a common thing you would find.
commonly.
Commonly, yeah. Although we just used common. So if we use commonly here, it might seem redundant, you know.
Okay, well, maybe how about put it back in that original area?
Where? Oh, by found and using the word commonly.
Yeah, but maybe get raw fish. Can be.
You can take out
Raw
can
fish
be.
is commonly found.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we should use usually though, just because we already used common here. What if we say raw fish is usually found? That would work. You like that? Okay. So what I would do is draw a line through can be, put a caret here, is usually. Oh, and we used unusual later, but that's okay. We want to try to keep words different, you know, not using the same base word or root word too many times because it sounds redundant. But for this exercise, it's fine. The most common foods in America are chicken and beef. Raw fish is usually found in malls and airports in the United States. In other countries, unusual items are strangely prepared as food. Or you could say rare items instead of unusual, something like that. So you get the idea. Okay, so your homework is going to be to finish this whole paragraph because you finished your keyword outline. You guys should have all the way through 8 done. And you've already done these first 3 sentences. So you're done with that. You're just going to copy these as you're typing on your Google Doc. And then looking at each keyword outline line, each number, you're going to do the same practice. You're going to look at it, think of a sentence, type the sentence. So basically, you're going to finish this paragraph, You already have an example ly adverb here. If you want to use a different one when you're typing, that's fine with me. It doesn't have to be the same. And that's it. So your grammar pages are 22 through 24. And then using your outline, you're going to finish writing this paragraph. Now, at the end, get creative on your title. Okay. Remember, it's got to have at least one word from your last sentence in the title. So the last sentence is talking about don't complain, right? If next time you're eating eggplant, because it's nothing compared to fried dung beetle or grilled seahorse. So you could use a word like complain. You could call this don't complain. That could be your title. And then at the end, when you write that last sentence, you use that word complain in a sentence or don't complain. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? You can tie in your title with your last sentence and then give it a title. So on the Google Docs, make sure to set it double space. Okay. And you guys told me that you know how to do that. So make sure you set it double space. You're still going to follow the same rules, name and date on the upper left-hand corner. So you're going to move it over there, left justified, right? Write your name and date. Center your title. You guys know how to center things on Google Docs. Okay. Once you get done with your paragraph and you know what your title is going to be, center that. And then make sure to tab over for your indent and then type your paragraph. All right. That's it for today. Do you guys have any questions for me before we go? Just going to write that paragraph, do your grammar pages, upload it on Google Classroom, and you're good to go. All right. Good job, you guys. See you next week.